So this review marks actually a brand new category for us at Technobabble, and yes, we are now reviewing microphones. Now I did do a feature video of Deity microphones, but I haven't fully tested them out yet, so this is my very first full review of a microphone. Now in terms of name, they both sound pretty similar, but yes, there are a couple of very distinct differences. Number one, obviously you can see the grill here is silver, whereas the one on the EM-91C is black. But the major difference is that this is a regular XLR microphone, whereas this is a USB microphone. So both of these mics were actually sent over to me by CD Music over here in Singapore. So a very big shout out and thank you to you guys. Now in terms of the unboxing, it's quite similar. Alright, so for both of these microphones, you obviously get the microphones. You get these shock mounts. Now both of them are pretty much identical. Alright, they're all pretty well built, but we'll talk about that a bit later. But for the EM-91C, you actually get an XLR cable, and for the EM-91CU, obviously you get a USB Type A to Type B cable. Now, of course, you get your regular documentation on both of these products. However, on the EM-91CU, it's actually pretty cool. You actually do get a few softwares included. So over here, you can see you get Pro Tools First, all right, which is a DAW, I think like a light version. And you get a whole bunch of different apps, which are all music related. But that's absolutely fantastic in what is actually the cheaper between these two mics. But we'll talk about the price later. Now, one thing I will say though is that both of these shock mounts do not come with the adapter, the screw thread adapters for these smaller threads. I think that's a bit of a miss, and even at these budget prices, they really should have been added. So yes, in terms of build quality, they are pretty much identical. I mean, obviously the color's a bit different, but in terms of build quality, they are pretty much identical. They even weigh about the same. It's predominantly an all metal finish, which I really like. Everything from the mic itself to the shock mount, it's all metal. Now, I'm not going to say that it's the most premium or solid feeling metal. It's not. But the fact that you don't get any like plastic on it, I think that's really impressive. You do get this sort of like an elastic band, but that's because they are shock mounts, so they prevent you getting thudding sounds when you actually bang into the mic, so it actually absorbs the sound. So both of these are condenser microphones, alright, and they both have a cardioid polar pattern. And when I talk about polar pattern, basically refers to the effective range as to where it picks up audio efficiently. So like for example, if I were to go to the side of this one, the 91C, if I go to the side, even though I'm kind of at the same distance away from the mic, it's not going to be as good in terms of pickup, but when I come back to the front, you get the full body. Alright, so you must be wondering, how am I getting both an XLR and a USB mic into the audio right here? So just to explain the setup, so the EM-91C, alright, which is the XLR mic, is plugged in directly to my Zoom Track P4, which I've done a review as well, and I absolutely love it. Alright, and then from there, I've got it recording on an SD card as a backup, but it is also going directly into the camera. And for the EM-91CU, I've got this via USB just connected directly to my Surface Pro, alright? No other devices in between, it's just USB, plug and play. You don't need to install any programs. Once you plug it in, the drivers will install immediately. Now back to the audio quality of the mic. First of all, like I did mention, they both have a cardioid polar pattern, which is basically what you want. In a podcasting or streaming mic. You don't want something that's super sensitive. You don't want an omnidirectional mic, obviously. Now, Mackie actually claims that this is also a really good mic for like vocal recordings, like singing, or even like musical instruments. Now, obviously, that's not something that I can test right now. But, you know, having listened to this microphone, recording it and listening over and over again, having a sort of idea of the frequency response of both of these microphones, I kind of get where Mackie is coming from. Now, they both have pretty good body, pretty good low end, maybe not as good as some of the more microphones that are dynamic, more towards podcasting like the, you know, Shure SM7B or the Samsung Q9U. But what you get here is a lot of mid and higher frequencies. So you get like your sibilance frequencies, which are really, really good for vocal recordings, as well as like, for example, if you're recording a guitar, this would actually, in my mind, be a really good option. And speaking of how they sound, I think they actually way outperform their price bracket, especially the EM-91CU. There is a very slight difference between the two. Not everyone might even be able to tell the difference. Now, both of them have pretty good low end, not as much as some other mics. Although, having said that, they kind of diminish quickly as I will move a bit back. So now when I'm closer, you get a bit more low end. I just have to move back a little bit and it's going to sound immediately a bit thinner. One thing I do realize though is that both of these mics, they pick out your plosives a bit more than I'm comfortable with. When I talk about plosives, I mean like when you speak your consonants, like your P, your B, as you can hear, you do get that sort of popping sound. Well, I mean, obviously, number one is because it's a condenser mic, so condenser mics tend to be a bit more sensitive to this sort of thing, but also because it doesn't come with windshields, sort of like those foams that you get on top of the microphones. So because of that, you're gonna get this sort of plosive sounds. What I would recommend is if you can find a windshield for this, get it. I haven't found one online. If not, you could get something called a pop filter, which is sort of like a mesh shield you can get in front. That helps to, reduce quite a bit of that. So let's talk about the price. So the EM-91C comes in at about 115 Singapore dollars, and the EM-91CU, which is the USB variant, comes in at only 80 Singapore dollars. So in my opinion, both of them represent excellent value, especially the 91CU, especially when you consider that it comes with all those free apps, whereas the 91C doesn't. I'm not quite sure why it doesn't, even though it's more expensive. So what I would say is, if you're going to use this solely for streaming, you don't see yourself using it outdoors or any other scenario, I would say get the EM-91CU. First of all, you don't need to buy a preamp that needs an XLR input. This is universal plug and play through your USB port. All right, you get free additional apps if you're into music production. Is excellent value right now. However, if you see yourself using this microphone in various scenarios, like for example, I actually used this mic in one of our podcasting episodes, and it did the job really well. I could bring it home for streaming. I would need a preamp in that particular case, but it's better than buying a USB mic and an XLR mic. So in terms of versatility, this is pretty good, although it's a little bit more expensive. So yeah, both of these Mackie microphones, the EM-91C as well as the 91CU, both represent excellent value. And I think if you're talking about value, the 91CU is just amazing. At 80 Singapore dollars, you get free applications. So if you're looking for a budget microphone, whether it's XLR or USB, you can't go wrong with either of them. Alright, so that about wraps up my review of both the Mackie EM-91C and the 91CU. Now, if you like this video, you know what to do, and I would love it if you were subscribed to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications on our next video. I'm JP, and I'll see you real soon.